That was an extraordinary, incredible, demanding world of precision, of creativity, where you meet one-of-a-kind individuals, characters, personalities. Makes it possible to forge your own.
Ce qui permet de forger le sien.
Have you ever wondered who is behind the hands that make fashion and luxury items every day? Behind every piece of clothing, every accessory and every object, there are men and women perpetuating these practices on a daily basis and passing down their passion. In this podcast, we will meet these lovers of know-how, the faceless people who hold precious knowledge on how to make the fashion and luxury items of tomorrow. Today, we go behind the scenes to hear from these men and women in the wings who will tell us about their profession, their passion, their desire to pass down a unique know-how. Because now, more than ever in France, we need to ensure the continuation of these exceptional professions. Welcome to the podcast Savoir pour Faire. Infiltrating a fashion house in the middle of Fashion Week is a challenge. Its electric energy and last-minute alteration means everyone is busy. Like a conductor, the technical director of the workshop is there to make all the impossible possible. Then there is the small matter of overseeing the manufacturing process to completion. Bruno Barbier is the Karayan of Balmain. His experience of more than 30 years in fashion with the greatest designers has also forged in him the desire to pass on his knowledge to the next generation. Attention, 3, 4. On peut voir la suite de la robe.
Je sais pas, regarder.
Bonjour Bruno.
Bonjour.
Vous avez l'air. Hello Bruno.
Hello.
You seem in a hurry, lots of things to do. Where are you coming from?
So I've just come from Gautier, where Olivier is collaborating on the Couture collection. And we have some alterations to make on one of the models in the collection and models to be cut for noon tomorrow.
Why noon tomorrow?
Because the show is at 6 p.m.
Alors, on va vous suivre. So we'll follow you into the workshop, see what's going on, and then afterwards we'll find a quiet place to talk.
Sounds good.
C'est ce qui fait aussi une des charmes.
This is what makes the job so charming. There is no linearity or routine, no moment of, there are calm moments and very intense moments, which keeps it continuously interesting. It's really never the same.
Qu'est-ce que c'est ce métier de directeur technique d'une maison
That's
comme
it.
Balmain?
We
entering the secret garden.
Yes, so here we are on the 4th floor of the studio, and this floor is mainly dedicated to the workshop, with merchandising and material supply purchases.
Et puis les achats matières et les achats fournitures de collection. Ça, c'est les 2 kimonos à côté. Vous avez, Isabelle? Je suis Bruno Barbier et je suis...
I am Bruno Barbier, and I am the technical director of Balmain.
What is a technical director?
A technical director is someone who primarily is at the workshop, supporting all the trades and crafts that are ongoing. At the same time, they're also supporting the studio by providing technical solutions to realize the vision and taking the collection to production. It's about ensuring that the spirit of the collection, as envisioned by the studio and the artist, is respected throughout the process.
A little like an orchestra conductor, really?
That's exactly right.
C'est exactement ça. Vous voulez voir maintenant? Alors.
C'était ça.
Donc.
Mais il est trop court.
Do you need to see me now?
That's it, but it's too short. I'm gonna have to redo it.
Oh, I thought you had already done it.
No, you told me not to alter anything, so...
Well, the pleating, yes, it needs to be redone.
So here I sewed the zipper.
Okay, that's fine.
Racontez-nous au départ. Je suppose que c'était pas forcément le métier que vous vouliez faire, si?
En effet. En fait, ce que je voulais faire...
Let's start at the beginning. I suppose this wasn't necessarily the job you dreamt of, was it?
No, it wasn't. In fact, what I really wanted to be was a dancer. So I went to dance school, where it just so happened that we had to make the costumes. And at that time, my mother was doing a little sewing, and I, perhaps foolishly, told the theater group that my mother would make all the costumes. My mother simply told me that since I had made the commitment, I would be the one to make the costumes.
I was going to say the same.
So my first costumes were tutus and dance costumes. I really enjoyed it, but I still wanted to become a dancer and stay a dancer. Eventually, as life does, a choice had to be made, and fashion had always interested me as well. And so I went to a technical school called l'Institut Paris Modeliste, where I learned the fundamentals of model making. First fundamental, model making is architecture, it's construction. If the foundations are not done well, the garment simply will not hold. And the second is that hard work pays off. No, I don't mean hard work, I don't like that word. But steady, regular work, which in my opinion generally bears fruit.
And then, what happened?
And then I go back to my region of France, to Besançon, where I started a factory. I was fairly reluctant to be starting at a factory, but found myself at the second largest French manufacturer of men's suits, which was called V. Besançon.
Of course.
And which has always made it a point of principle to invest in training people. And so I found myself with people of my age, all new to this industry. And I was a trainee assistant for a few months when one of the model makers suddenly quit his position. And one of the directors, quite impulsively, asked if I was ready to take the challenge. And being quite impulsive myself, I said yes. So at 21 years of age, I found myself a model maker of extremely classic items, but which became an extremely educative experience. I stayed 4 years at the company, where I was lucky enough to be working with that same impulsive director, Mr. Bertrand Veil. Speaking of mentors,
Yes?
he was the first of my mentors. I was able to have hands on a lot of different products. I did menswear and sportswear for extremely cutting-edge brands at the time, and design as well, with a creator who today we no longer hear about, but who was very talented, Mr. Angelo Tarlazzi. And then after 4 years, this gentleman, Bertrand Veil, said to me one day, "Don't you think it may be almost time to leave? Because you're going to get bored here one day."
Wow, that's pretty rare to hear.
I think it's exceptional, actually. And so I responded to an ad for a product that was a little more luxury-oriented in Paris, or at least what I thought was more luxury. But when I arrived at the first meeting, the day of the ready-to-wear show, the stand was empty, and I learned that the company had filed for bankruptcy. And I, still impulsive, had already quit my job.
Oh, what do you do in a moment like that?
Well, I met my second mentor, actually, Miss Kate Sasson, who created the KS company, which is today KS Interim. And quite quickly, she said to me, "Listen, we're looking for people at Cacharel Chemiserie."
Still as a modeler.
Still as a modeler. It was my first responsibility. I was 26 when I became responsible for the Karayan of Balmain workshop in Paris. I stayed with them for a year and felt that my personal life could use a little more of my time. And then I realized that working freelance, I could do as little or as much as I wanted.
Et pendant 2-3 ans, je n'ai pas arrêté de faire une collection couture avec Paco Rabanne, une collection de vêtements hommes avec Monsieur Morlotti, qui était aussi designer de chez Dior.
And so for 2-3 years, I just didn't stop, making couture collection with Paco Rabanne, a collection of men's clothing with Mr. Morlotti, who was a designer at Dior and then later at Lanvin, supporting young designers, wanting to create my own brand, lots and lots of different things. And after a few years, I noticed I was actually working almost 370 days a year. At some point, obviously, you just become overstretched. But during this career of freelance and interim work, I worked with a lot of different houses until I found myself with Thierry Mugler in the 90s. That was an extraordinary, incredible, demanding world of precision, of creativity, where you meet one-of-a-kind individuals, characters, personalities. It makes it possible to forge your own.
It must be difficult, though, no?
It's very demanding, and it eats into your personal life. You work a lot.
But it's also...
Fabulous. It's incredible to be under 30, to rub shoulders with these people. Notably Mr. Mugler, who was an incredible character, a really crazy personality, who knew what he wanted and had a universe of his own. And to be honest, luck has always been kind to me in this world. For example, a friend of mine just happened to have my CV in his bag the day he went for an interview for a position at Christian Lacroix. During the course of this meeting, the interviewer just happened to mention they were looking for a workshop foreman, and did he know anybody? And so that's how my resume landed on the desk at Maison Lacroix, which led to my spending 5 years working for my next mentor, and still #1 for my professional development, Mr. Christian Lacroix. He was the first person I've ever heard say, "It's not at all what I expected, but I'm interested," We're going to work on it. And it's something I've never heard anywhere else.
Why do you think that is?
Because it's beyond the fashion designer. He's beyond that. He's an artist. Very cultured with this permanent curiosity, which is something I admire and see as really an example for all aspects of this world. When you're a model maker, when you're a model mechanic, when you're a pattern maker, if you're not curious, you don't move forward. We learn from that kind of personality. It brings the whole team together and creates a team spirit to bring the creations to life.
Ils vont faire grandir toute l'équipe et aussi le responsable d'atelier. On est dans la salle de fitting. Là,
We're in the fitting room now. This place is kind of the holy of holies.
Et les mécaniciens à comprendre ce qu'il faut faire.
Il faut chercher le mannequin.
Should we get it now?
Yes, please. Actually, no, because in fact we tightened the size. What you do is you do a gros grain ou canvas at 92 centimeters and you tighten the waist until you get to 92.
Celle de tout à l'heure?
Simon is an intern with us, and Motondo, the guy who will also help us on this dress, is also interning. It's very important for the industry, but it's also very important for the Balmain house to train people. Young people or not, for that matter, but to train people to ensure the succession and continuity of the professions.
In this podcast, knowledge sharing is something I talk a lot about with people from the fashion industry.
The sharing of our experiences, for me, is one of our most important functions as professionals. Those of us working in this industry now are in positions thanks to those who came before us and transmitted their knowledge onto us. And we need to pay it forward, share our experience and knowledge with the next generation beyond what they can learn in schools. The future of this profession depends upon this transmission of knowledge and practice.
And it's not always easy to find new people, is it?
It's not always easy to find people that want to stay in the workshop, because everyone dreams of being a stylist and all that comes with that. So there are a lot of positions in the workshop today that are indeed feeling the pressure to find the next generation.
Such as?
Model mechanics, tailor mechanics, cutters. These are not positions that are easy to find people for, since there are just not many candidates looking to go into these posts. Which is perhaps a result of the fact that these positions tend to involve relatively low numbers to begin with and somewhat fractured work. There really isn't a constant routine in the workshop, so it's difficult to say which skills are in high demand on any given day. We really never know what we're going to do. This morning, we didn't know we were going to make this dress.
This dress? It's brand new?
Yes, it's almost brand new.
Il faut la mettre sur le mannequin?
Ben non, parce qu'elle va pas rentrer. Je pense. Bon, on va essayer. Allez, on essaie.
Alors, on était à Monsieur Lacroix.
On était à Monsieur Lacroix, avec lequel je suis resté pendant 5 ans.
So we were speaking of Monsieur Lacroix.
Yes, Monsieur Lacroix, with whom I stayed for 5 years. And then I got a phone call from a person called Marie-Jo Sardin, who is now the manager of the KS company, who said to me, I have a request from a company you're looking for a foreman who speaks English, and I thought of you. And that's how I had the opportunity to work for 5 years at Saint Laurent, now owned by the Carrick Group, but at the time by the Pinot Group, with Tom Ford and his team. And there was another world for the profession, for the industry, because these are groups that take over houses. And it's about results, about shareholder satisfaction, results about, well, everything we know today with this new mode of operation. It's another experience, not at all the same thing as being with a Monsieur Lacroix. Mr. Ford is extremely polite, and it's all quite creative. But there are also big creative teams behind it, too. It's not the same scale in any way. It's at this time as well that my role as studio foreman becomes more the studio manager, which is a fairly considerable change from my time at Lacroix, where I would sometimes do the paintings, transferring the creator's drawings onto canvas to give them volume. Now there is no time for things like that with my switch to management, to the organization there is today. That takes up about 50 to 60% of my time now with Balmain.
Pour basculer vers le management, vers l'organisation, qui est aujourd'hui, on va dire, 50-60% de mon rôle aujourd'hui dans la maison Balmain.
Et donc, cette expérience... So this experience with Tom Ford led you to Balmain?
No. There were lots of things before Balmain.
Oh no, there's still more. Crazy.
Quite a few still. You could say I have a rhythm. It's not exactly circadian, but I have a 4 to 5 year rhythm. 95 to 2000 with Lacroix, 2000 to 2004 with Saint Laurent, 2004 to 2008 with Agnes B, 2008 to 2012, Sonia Riquel.
Okay.
It was also at this time that I lost a bit of the systemic desire to be in touch with the creator.
I was going to ask you about that.
And I began to move towards becoming the conductor of the workshop.
You achieved that now.
I think I had arrived at a time when I needed something else. I wanted something else. And that something else took shape through the transmission of knowledge, through training. At that time, I had begun as a technical teacher for the 4th year of the School of the Chamber of Trade Unions, which had just been created. So this teaching, this transference of knowledge and experience, the accompaniment of young creators, some of whom have created their own brands, I did that for a year and a half, and then a group came to get me. Madame de Buren, who was industrial director at Balenciaga, managed to persuade me to come back to business by taking charge of the Balenciaga workshops with Nicolas Guéquière, who was artistic director.
So there, you work with the creative team?
Not exactly, since I decided to become a technical director.
Ah, that's how we arrive at your position today.
Actually, with the changes in artistic direction, I've lived 3 completely different adventures since I started with Mr. Guéquière, who has an almost military-like determination, which I don't mean in a negative way at all. The arrival at Balenciaga of New York designer Alexander Wang really shook things up. I worked with him for 3 years and saw the effect it had, and I tell all young people coming into the industry to learn any and all foreign languages they can. Since
you end up with the world around you?
You end up with the world around you, exactly. And the job at Saint Laurent, I'm not sure I got it because I was the best, but I know I got it because I spoke fluent English. All right, we'll put it aside, and even that we'll put aside for now. I think she printed the pictures.
We have nothing at the moment. She just came to tell us that there are pieces to be cut.
Ok. Donc la première pièce que vous avez vue, c'est la coupe.
So the first piece you saw was the cut. We cut all the models, all the prototypes of what you'd call custom work for Balmain.
A profession that we have already talked about on Savoir pour Faire.
Au tout début de ma carrière, les modélistes me disaient « il faut que tu voles le métier ». Je trouvais l'expression absolument...
At the very beginning of my career, people, model makers, told me, you have to steal the job. But I found that expression horrible. So today I say to people who come here, watch how the work is done. Immerse yourself in it.
Soak up rather than steal.
Exactly.
Do we arrive at Balmain at some point?
Oh, yes, of course. A meeting with a headhunter who introduced me to people from Balmain. This house is a great example of the importance of the charisma, intelligence, and humanity of the artistic director.
Another creator with an incredible universe in their head.
This time a universe I know well, having lived through the 1980s aesthetic that feeds the imagination of Olivier Rousteing. So it's a less surprising universe to be a part of, but in the end I'm here for Balmain, and I'm delighted with the course my career has taken to get me here. I often say I've had a lot of luck, though people tell me luck is only a part of it, and the rest is the work I've put in.
I would say the same.
And so here I am.
Can you take us through a typical workday? I guess you're going to tell me there is no typical day, but for those listening who say to themselves, one day I may be the technical director of a large fashion house, what will they be doing?
Well, first they should be saying to themselves they're going to be a model mechanic or a pattern maker or a model maker, workshop manager, and then on to technical director.
Of course, but one day...
You also need to understand there is only one technical director per house, just like the artistic director, although I'm not comparing the two functions.
No, but it is good to know.
In terms of what you do on a daily basis, there is really one primary function. Make sure that everything gets done in the correct order, if possible in a good mood, with seriousness, respect for deadlines, respect for budgets, all that entails.
We know you have to go through stages to one day perhaps become a technical director, but is there any way, such as a technical director studies course, for example, that could lead you there, or is that impossible?
You really need the experience. You have to be exposed to working with all sorts of different types of products and a variety of approaches. Perhaps it's someplace like Chanel, where you could go through all the stages, one after the other at the same house. Maybe that could get you there. But I don't really know. I've never worked at Chanel.
Merci beaucoup, Bruno.
Merci à vous. Vous intéressez à mon métier.
Ouais, j'aimerais juste savoir ce qu'il y a...
Thank you so much, Bruno.
Thank you for being interested in my profession.
I just wanted to know what awaits you tomorrow, since we are in the middle of Haute Couture Fashion Week. Can you tell us a bit about your schedule, or do you even know at this point?
I know for tomorrow, we're going to work on that dress that will be on the catwalk tomorrow.
The one we've already heard about?
Yes, for Olivier's collaboration with Gauthier. So we'll be staying a bit late tonight and probably back very early tomorrow morning to get it ready. And then we'll take it over for the show, making sure it is there before 4 p.m. so it can be on the catwalk by 6.
Will you be going to the show?
I'd rather the young, fashion-interested people get the chance to see it. I think it is more exciting for them, more fruitful. Even if what I saw today at Gauthier is incredible and it really shows the talent of Olivier Houstin. But for me, it is more important for the next generation to go and watch. I'll go out of curiosity. They will go with a thirst to learn, and I think that's much more interesting.
Pendant ce temps-là,
Suzanne, we're going to remove what's doubled in the back by the zipper, because we have to pull up the dress by this amount. Take the tulle, because I think the fabric is too delicate, it can't hang on it. And here there is no seam.
Ah, there's no seam.
We'll begin by taking off the shoulder pads, so maybe you can start doing that, or get someone to do it.
Et ce que peut-être tu peux commencer à faire ou voir avec quelqu'un pour faire.
I cut out that shoulder pad there. It would have to be covered with mesh to be able to put it back on afterwards.
Okay, I'll see to that and come back for the rest.
If you have any doubts, don't hesitate to come check with me. Don't continue without knowing what to do next.
For more on the profession of technical director in fashion, find the training courses at savoir-pour-faire.fr in the luxury and fashion section.